I'm telling you, nobody wanted to guard these players. Over the years, the NBA has had a ton of physical players in the league, guys who are borderline dangerous to play against. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 15 most dangerous players in league history. Number 15, Reggie Evans. Evans was actually voted the league's dirtiest player in the NBA by the players themselves back in 2010. When analysts described Evans' game, they said that he has to play dirty because he can't do anything else except rebound. He also had one incident where he was caught grabbing another guy in a pretty unfortunate spot. Number 14, Rick Mahorn. Mahorn was on that bad boy Detroit Pistons squad, so it's no surprise he's on our list. Mahorn was one player that always made the most out of his fouls. If you got around him, he wasn't just gonna give you a little tap on the arm. His plan was to hit you with all he's got. Number 13, Mark Jackson. Jackson wasn't ever one of those guys who took swings or threw elbows at opposing players in the paint, but he did have a rule made because of it. The Mark Jackson rule was created so that players couldn't back down their opponents under the free throw line for more than 5 seconds. Jackson always took his opportunities to bully his matchup. Number 12, Rajon Rondo. Rondo wasn't always the guy hitting other players, but he certainly instigated a ton of fights over his career. Most recently, he was seen punching Chris Paul in the face during a scuffle. Rondo's also had a few fights in which he launched himself into the stands with an opposing player, ripping and tearing at each other's jerseys. Number 11, Kevin Garnett. Garnett always was the one to finish the fights that Rondo started. Garnett doesn't hesitate when fouling somebody either. He'll make sure you pay for attacking the rim. Plus, he was relentless with his trash talking, so much so that it started a whole bunch of fights throughout his career. He's definitely not a player that I'd want to stand next to one-on-one. Number 10, Kurt Thomas. Thomas was known around the league for being an extremely physical presence in the painted area, and he definitely didn't stay in the league towards the back end of his career because of his talent. Teams really just wanted that physicality. If you wanted to fight your way into the paint, you'd be getting a minor check or elbow that would deter you from scoring. Number 9, the mailman, Karl Malone. Malone had elbows that were among the worst in league history. Not many players in the league have ever thrown more vicious elbows than him. In fact, Isaiah Thomas tried to drive into the lane on him once and ended up with 40 stitches around his eye instead because of Malone. Staying away from Malone when he was trying to grab a rebound was a pretty good decision. Number 8, Rasheed Wallace. Sheed makes it onto this list just because of the number of technical fouls he received. Throughout his career, he picked up 317 techs in total. In one season, he broke the league record by picking up 41. Some numbers even suggest that he was picking up a technical foul once every 3 games. Number 7, Kenyon Martain. Martin was so brutal to opposing players that Mark Cuban had to speak out about it. He told the media that Martin was a thug, and despite taking heat for saying that out loud, it was kinda true. The fewer minutes Martin was receiving towards the end of his career, the more physical he seemed to become on the floor. He wanted to make all of his playing time count however he could. Number 6 is Charles Oakley. Oakley was one of those players who could get you seriously injured when trying to score a layup. Oakley's stacked frame made it seem like you were running into a brick wall when he got in front of you. He also punched Xavier McDaniel at one point in his career. Charles definitely had no shame in letting other players get hit, and if you want to avoid getting punched in the face by Oakley, then maybe you should subscribe to our YouTube channel. At number 5, we've got Dikembe Mutombo. This one's a little bit shocking. ESPN once recorded a stat that included every player that Mutombo injured over the course of his career, and among the guys on that list were LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and Chauncey Billups. Anybody with an injury list like that has gotta be a dangerous guy to play against. Number 4, Dennis Rodman. Rodman trash-talked like the best of them, but also had no fear of being physical with his opponents. He didn't care about getting hit, so he started fights without hesitation. He would throw his elbows around while grabbing rebounds, kick cameramen on occasion, and even headbutt referees. Number 3, Meta World Peace. otherwise known as Ron Artest. Peace hit James Harden with a serious elbow back in 2012 that he said was accidental, but because of his physical history, he got suspended for it. He was also one of the key players who jumped into the stands to fight a fan during the Malice at the Palace. Number 2. Bruce Bowen. Bowen was able to maneuver his way around the rule book quite often. He always tugged, pushed, or grabbed you whenever he was able to. Plus, he always started to stick his foot out under jump shooters, a rule that's been changed and heavily enforced in today's league so it never happens again. This strategy led to a bunch of broken and twisted ankles over the years. And finally, at number 1, Bill Laimbeer. Another member of the Bad Boys, Laimbeer was the worst when it came to physicality. He slapped, elbowed, shoved, and fought with no hesitation whatsoever. In fact, his main goal in some games was just to injure the opposing team's star player. To make that all 10 times worse, if you fought back, he would flop and whine and try to get a whistle from the refs. Hey, that does it for this video on the top 15 most dangerous players to line up against in NBA history. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to check out the top 10 most intense NBA players next.